Picturing the future you. Sometimes people talk about deadbeat dads, deadbeat moms, and they are very critical. And of course, I believe that every parent should be there for their children. So I understand being critical, but I also understand that picturing a future you is not an exact science. There are lots of people who imagine the future self that they want. And they have this idealized version in their head, of the career that they want, the house they want, the car they want, the family they want, the children they want. The thing is, we don't deal with ideals. We deal with reality when we get to that place. And what often happens is that nothing is exactly like what you expect it to be. And a lot of times it's a lot harder than you expected it to be. And sometimes people realize that early on, and sometimes they don't realize it until they're in it. And some people realize that they had a depth of illusion, or an illusion of depth, really. They had this illusion that they were deeper than they actually are. They had this illusion that they could handle more and handle it better than they actually can. And sometimes when you have to accept that you aren't who you thought you were, and that you got to grow up, you got to change, you got to do things differently than you expected. It's harder than you expected. The fantasy isn't panning out like you expected. Some of that is really difficult to deal with because you got cognitive dissonance. We really like to be the people we think we are. And when we can't be that person, sometimes we're angry, we're depressed, we're disillusioned, we're discouraged, we feel overwhelmed, we feel stressed, we feel sad, we feel disappointed, we could even hate ourselves. There could be so many different emotions. And a lot of times people don't tell you before you get into things, hey, it's hard. Hey, it's going to be okay. Hey, you'll get through this. This is what you can expect. You can read books about becoming a parent or becoming a certain career or going off to college or whatever it is. But sometimes those books just don't prepare you for the emotional upheaval that you're going to deal with. And so I'm saying all this to say that I think that it's good that there's a lot of people that are looking at social media, looking at research, looking at family and friends and saying, you know what? I don't know if I have what it takes to be married, to be a parent, to be a stepdad, to be a stepmom. I don't know if I've got what it takes. So I think I'm not going to take that route because I think it's better to not do it if you got doubts than to force yourself into it or to assume that you got it or to assume everything will be all right. Because sometimes it's just not. And sometimes that makes everybody suffer that's involved because you really just don't have what it takes. You really aren't going to do the work that it would take to overcome the humps that are coming, the obstacles that are overcoming, so it's good to say, hey, it's just not me. I'm not going to do it and avoid it altogether. And I think that that's what a lot of people are doing now. And I think it is a change in society because in the past, people didn't think things through like that. And they had so much stigma around not being married, not having kids, or not going into certain professions or going off to college or whatever it was, that they just did it because it was expected. And I think that a lot of people are letting themselves off the hook now and saying, you know what? People might expect this. People might make fun of me. People might have their opinions about it, but I don't think this is the right decision for me. And so I'm not going to do it. And I think that's very brave and I think it's very commendable. What are your thoughts? I'd like to know what you think. You can put your thoughts in the comments or send me, a video that,